Good morning, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today we're going to look at the studio catalog. Studio albums only. Not live albums, not compilation albums, not soundtrack albums. Well, one might technically be a soundtrack album I'm going to talk about, but no, I'm not going to talk about Flash. All right? I'm not going to include that because that's not really a complete album. But all the other ones you can expect. Of Queen. Okay? So I realize this is a band beloved by many, scorned by some. It's probably some of my picks here might be a little controversial. Remember, I'm going to rank the albums based on how I like them, based on what they mean to me, all right? Everybody's opinion is going to be different on some of these. So some of the ones that might be at the bottom of the list, I'm sure there's going to be folks who are going to absolutely love those and going to be like, I can't believe you put that at the bottom of the list. Well, it's my list, folks, all right? You want to bring something to the table? Tell us how you rank them. That's what it's all about. This is all about just pretend like we're sitting at a bar, sitting out to dinner, at a winery, at a brewery, at a ball game, whatever, sitting at the campfire in the backyard, bonfire in the backyard, talking about Queen albums, which ones we love, which ones we don't, and why. That's what this is all about, right? This is not the definitive, here are the best Queen albums, all right? Because I'm not the definitive opinion of anything, right? Just my own. So, got that out of the way first, so let's tackle them. All right, again, I'm going to go from my least favorite to my favorite. I will say the top half of this list, really difficult. All right, but we'll get there. So coming in first, I don't even know what to say about this hot space, or hot mess as I've always liked to call it. Yeah, I know some of you love this album, and there are a couple of, it's got Under Pressure, of course. It's got Put Out the Fire, great hard rock and Queen tune. Unfortunately, the rest of it doesn't do a hell of a lot for me. This, to me, is just Queen trying to stay, trying to be a little hip in the early 80s, doing kind of like a disco, funk, urban thing. Man, it just doesn't work for me. Does not work for me. I almost never listened to this. I remember buying this when I was a teenager and thinking, ugh, what the fuck were they thinking, right? But love those two tracks. And there's a couple of the tunes that are kind of okay. But man, some of it is just absolute calling old girls. Ooh, back chat, body language, and the cheesy synths. Oh my God. Just, Las Palabras de Amor. That's not a bad song. But otherwise, for me, this is bottom of the barrel Queen. All right, close to the bottom, just because for me, it just, I don't know, it kind of spoke a little bit to me as sort of a cash grab after Freddie passed away. And the album, for me, just is kind of, it's got this kind of weird quality to it. It's like kind of creepy. And I don't know, it's pretty mellow. I'm talking about Made in Heaven. And I know I should like this more than I do because, again, it was, I think the band kind of meant it as a, all right, we're going to take some of the stuff we were working on with Freddie that we never really finished and we're going to put it out there. But, nothing that's on here is really top shelf Queen. Like I said, it's very mellow. There's kind of like just a weird quality about this. And I just never really took to this, I don't know. Your opinion may vary. I know some people back in the day when it was released, like, oh, it's such a great kind of final album to pay tribute to Freddie and all that kind of stuff. It's like, for me, Innuendo was that album. I didn't think they needed to release this, but, it's whatever. I guess it's good that they kind of got all the stuff that they were working on out there. But, all right, some of you may not want to include this, and that's totally okay. I decided to just because it's got the Queen name on it. And, quite frankly, it's not really a bad album. Queen plus Paul Rodgers, The Cosmos Rocks. As a Queen album, not very successful. As a Queen with Paul Rodgers on vocals doing kind of like a, just a good rock and roll album, it's not bad. My pride, I think Paul sounds wonderful on this album. I'm glad that they at least did something in the studio with him for his time in the band because he was, they were working together for a while. It's just really different. It doesn't really sound like Queen. Paul sings great on it. Brian is awesome. Roger is his normal great self. None of the tracks here are really noteworthy. They're all kind of solid. They all kind of rock. They have like a little bluesy slant to them. I could never say anything bad about this album. I could never really rave about it. It's not like when this came out, I was like, holy crap, that's so good. I remember the first couple times I listened to it, I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Not overly memorable, but it's okay. And I think, unfortunately, since it first came out, I probably only listened to this maybe 2 or 3 times since, in all these years. I mean, I don't even remember what year this came out, 2008 or something like that. Get the, yeah, 2008. So it's been 12 years now, going on 12 years. So not a lot of staying power here, but like I said, it's not a bad album. All right. Coming in next, I'm going to go with The Miracle. Solid album. You know, almost, I think everything that's going to come next is solid. I mean, the 80s albums obviously are not nearly as strong as the 70s stuff. But I think all the 80s albums have like half really good songs, and the other half is just okay, right? You know, okay. And again, I think Queen at this stage of the game in the 80s, they were trying to, you know, kind of fit in with all the 80s sounds and things that were happening. So you get like a couple, maybe 3, 4 tracks, good standard heavy rock Queen stuff. And then the others, you get little bits of pop and, you know, little synthesizer driven pop and things like that. You know, none of these albums are bad. They're just not classic Queen in my opinion. But this one, you know, this has got, the title track, The Miracle, is quite good. I Want It All has been a long time, you know, favorite for many Queen fans. Good anthem. What else? I always kind of dug The Invisible Man. It's kind of a weird song, but I kind of dug that. But there's some, you know, Was It All Worth It? Decent. Got Scandal. Rain Must Fall. Breakthrough. Khashoggi's Ship, that's pretty cool. In fact, you know, that's not too bad. My Baby Does Me, ugh. You know, again, half good, half kind of forgettable. Next up, I actually kind of like this album. And again, this is sort of a soundtrack to the Highlander, one of the Highlander films. I don't remember if it was the first one or the second one. Kind of Magic. But it's a full-fledged album. I mean, it's all songs. That's why I decided not to include the Flash Gordon thing, because it's got like, what, 2 actual songs and the rest is all like interludes and sound things and whatever. So I just decided not to throw that in here. Some excellent tracks on here, though. One Vision, another big, heavy rock, hard rock anthem from the band. A Kind of Magic, I dig the title track a lot. I really like that song a lot. 1 Year of Love, Pain Is So Close to Pleasure, it's all right. Friends Will Be Friends, all right, pretty good pop tune. Give Me the Prize, Kurgan's Theme, killer. Heavy. One of the heaviest songs they ever did. Really, really cool. Princess of the Universe, another really good hard rockin' tune. You know, Who Wants to Live Forever? That's a really, really great, great tune. Very mellow, kind of somber, emotional piece, but I really dig that a lot. So, Kind of Magic. I dig the album. The Works, another 80s album. Again, got some excellent material on it. Some, not so much. Radio Gaga has always been a favorite song of mine. I might be one of the few American folks here who have taken to that song. I know the folks from Britain love Radio Gaga. I know here it didn't really do a hell of a lot of anything, but I thought that was a really fun tune. I like that a lot. Tear It Up, another great heavy rock song. All right. It's a Hard Life, solid. Man on the Prowl, Machines. I Want to Break Free, another cool kind of anthem from the band. What else? Hammer to Fall. Brian May, man, cranking out the riffs. Is This the World We Created? Another good kind of somber, emotional piece. They did a lot of those kind of tracks in the 80s, which I can appreciate. You know, again, a solid album. You know, as long as you forget the terrible video they did for this album. Ugh. Embarrassing. But, you know, that was Freddie, right? They like to do that kind of tongue-in-cheek stuff. All right, next up, a very, you know, like I said earlier, for me, Innuendo was the rightful Queen finale. And I think, you know, if you don't count Made in Heaven, I think Innuendo is one of the strongest studio albums that a band can kind of go out on. All right. You know, I've gotten into many conversations with friends of mine and some folks who've been on this show about, you know, those studio albums from a band that's releases the album and calls it quits. All right. And, you know, Thin Lizzy's Thunder and Lightning comes to mind, right? Great kind of finale album from that band. This is that for Queen. This is just a killer, killer album filled with anthems. You know, the title track, just so good. So good. Love the kind of little, you know, Steve Howe guitar part on there. Very, very cool. I Can't Live With You. I'm Going Slightly Mad. Very kind of cool. You know, I'm going slightly mad. It's just, it's so Freddie, right? It's just so Freddie. Oh, Headlong, great heavy rock tune. I remember the first time, and this is back in the day where they would still play a little bit of like new material from classic bands on FM rock radio. And when this came out, they weren't doing much of it, but I remember hearing Headlong and then Innuendo on the local station, and I was like, wow, that's a surprise, right? New music, right? A lot of really, These Are the Days of Our Lives, kind of a charming tune. Delilah, kind of charming. The Hitman, great rocker. Just some, and of course The Show Must Go On. Can't forget that. I mean, that's just epic, big Queen, right? Just at their best. A handful of absolutely essential tracks on here. The rest of it is very good, kind of poppy stuff. Again, with with a lot of what they were doing in the 80s. But I think that this is just a much more powerful statement than those couple albums that came before it. And again, if they were going to go out on top, this was a good one to do it with. I'm a big fan of Innuendo. All right. Yeah. You know what? I just realized. Hold on, guys. I just realized that for some reason I did not pull the game. Hold on. I got to grab it because I know exactly where it should be. I'll be right back. Don't go away. Don't go away. I don't know how this happened. It's very strange. When you're pulling CDs, sometimes you forget stuff. But it's good that, because I knew exactly where it was supposed to be. All right, so next up, we're going to go with the game. All right, so Queen moving into the 80s. All right, starting to change their sound a little bit, get a little more commercial. This was a huge hit for them. A huge, huge hit. Play the Game. Great song. Okay, it's got that kind of regal, majestic quality with the sledgehammer guitar riffing. Love it. Dragon Attack, one of my favorite Queen songs. Love the funky bass. Love the scorching Brian May guitars. Okay. Like I said, John Deacon pumping away on the bass. The riff is great. The solos are awesome. Freddie snarling. Great, great song. It's got these perennial hits. Another One Bites the Dust. Crazy Little Thing Called Love. You can't deny, right, the genius of those songs. Some of us probably don't need to hear those much again anymore because they've been played to death and we've played them to death, but it's still the great songs. Rocket, good kind of funky tune. Don't Try Suicide, it's kind of fun. All right, Sail Away Sweet Sister. Really dig that song a lot. Coming Soon, Save Me. Save Me is just, again, majestic Queen. Those killer choruses, right? A very good album. Okay? All right, now I'm going to say what I was going to say before. So now all of these 70s albums, for me, are not separated by much of anything. And I really kind of labored with how to rank these going forward here. So, this order could change for me a couple weeks from now. Not by much, especially at the top. The top four were like brutal. I just was like, God, how do you put one over the other, right? Like we've talked about a lot of times. It's like trying to say which is your favorite child, which is your favorite pet. If you got multiple of them, it's like, me to say which is my favorite guitar, right? It's like, you think you have a favorite, but then you're like, oh, but I really like that one. So that's kind of what this is like for me doing the Queen catalog. I'm gonna put next up at number, where are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At number 7, I'm gonna go News of the World. I know a lot of folks really, really love this album, as do I. I think I kind of like the ones coming up better, but, it's got the opening 1-2 punch of We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions. All right, it's got the title, the title track to an earlier album, Sheer Heart Attack, which should have been on that album. Great, great song. Kind of like, almost like a sort of, yeah, we know what's going on with the punk movement right now, so we're going to kind of amp things up a little bit and speed things up a little bit because there's kind of like that energy on this album. All Dead, Spread Your Wings, Fly Away, Fight from the Inside, very cool, Roger Taylor led piece. Get Down, Make Love. You can kind of hear the seeds of what would come in the very early 80s there. What else? It's Late, great hard rock tune. Who Needs You, again, very, very strong album from the band. A big seller for them. Always loved that cover, man. Just killer, killer, killer. So, there we have it. Number 7. Coming in at number 6. I remember when this album first came out, and my cousins from Long Island, who, one is like a year older than me, the other is I think 3 years older than me, and they were getting into a lot of this stuff as it came out a little bit before me, because I was still a little young, and I was in my Kiss phase, right? And I remember going over to visit them. We all went one weekend to visit them, our family, and they had the Jazz album, and of course, you had the famous picture of all the naked ladies on the bicycles, right? And I was kind of like, oh, look at that. And they're like, yeah, we don't want to let our parents know that we have this, because they wouldn't approve. I'm like, but the music, man. I remember like they were playing that, on their stereo, and I remember Mustafa came on, and I'm like, holy crap, I totally love this. Right? And then you got Fat Bottom Girls. How can you not love that song, right? You got, Jealousy, Bicycle Race, all right? Very kind of witty, cool song. You Can't Beat Them. Or If You Can't Beat Them, sorry. Let Me Entertain You. Love the guitar riffing in that song. That's just kind of, let me entertain you. Love it. Dead on Time. The genius of Brian May. What a fantastic, unique guitar player. All right, what else we got on here? Dreamer's Ball, fun. Fun It, good funky tune. Don't Stop Me Now, of course, a perennial fan favorite. I think it's just a really good hard rock record with all those kind of Queen, kind of poppy, Broadway kind of things that they did, right? I mean, just it's always hard to classify Queen. It's like, what is it exactly that they did, right? It's just, they weren't a metal band, they weren't a strict pop band, they weren't a glam band, they weren't a prog band. They kind of utilized all little bits of things, and just this great sound. So that's number 6. All right, coming in at number 5. Number 5 and number 4. I mean, these top 5 for me are just like, psh. I'm gonna go with The Day at the Races. Not as strong as A Night at the Opera, but as a sequel, damn good. Tie Your Mother Down, legendary hard rock and boogie song from the band. You Take My Breath Away, very, very cool song. Long Away, The Millionaire Waltz, for me, was kind of like Bohemian Rhapsody's like little sister, okay, or little brother. I just love the kind of playfulness, the opera type stuff going on throughout that song, and then that just kind of like pulverizing sledgehammer section when Freddie starts screaming and Brian May comes in with those massive riffs. Just love it. Somebody to Love, fantastic. White Man, another great hard rock tune with some great Brian May riffing. Good old fashioned Lover Boy, You and I, Just You and I. Great stuff. All right, the top 4. Yeah, these are the 4 that I really debated about. I went back and forth and shuffling. I'm like, fuck, what am I gonna do here? Because I love each one of these so much. Not that I don't love the last couple and a lot of these other ones here, but man, the top 4 for me are the cream of the Queen. Cream of the Queen. That rhymes. All right, so again, you asked me next week, I might change this up a little bit. I'm going to go with number 4, My Beloved Queen 2. This is a very different album from most of their other albums. A lot of people always say this is Queen's kind of like prog album in a way. All right, just very experimental, doing a lot of cool different things vocally that we would see on subsequent releases. Cool use of keyboards and guitar trickery in spots. Just a really, really great album. Procession is great. Father to Son, Word on Your Ear, great stuff. White Queen, there's some just really regal, grand, majestic material on here. Someday, One Day, The Loser, In the End, more Roger Taylor wonder there. One of my top 10 Queen song for me, Ogre Battle. I mean, God, it's like the creation of speed metal between that song and another one we're going to talk about in a minute. Ogre Battle just kills. Love those rumbling riffs and Roger Taylor's acrobatic drumming on that. Man, I tell you, the Fairy Tailor's master stroke, Nevermore. And my favorite Queen song of all time, The March of the Black Queen. That is such an intense, ominous, great theatrical rock, heavy rock song. Love it. Funny How Love Is, and of course the Seven Seas of Rye, See What a Fool I've Been. Yeah, it's a great album. Queen 2 coming in at number 4. Today anyway. All right, coming in at number 3, I'm going to go with Sheer Heart Attack. Brighton Rock. All right. All sorts of great stuff. Killer Queen. You know, decent hit single for them at the time. A excellent, excellent song. Oh, my God. Flick of the wrist. I'm telling you, just an amazing album. An amazing album. You know, of course, like I said, we talked about kind of like the birth of speed metal. This certain speed or thrash metal, whatever the hell you want to call it, power metal. You know, how about Stone Cold Crazy? Right, Now I'm Here. Great anthem for the band. Jesus. Even the fun, you know, even bring back that Leroy Brown. Bring back that Leroy Brown. I mean, just, what are the bands doing stuff like this? All this varied material on here. You know, Tenement Funster, Lily of the Valley, The Lap of the Gods. Just what a unique, amazing band. Okay, coming at number 3. Coming at number 2. Yeah, like I said, these top 4 are not separated by much of anything, but just for the purposes of doing this, I'm going to go number 2 with the debut album. A very heavy album. A great, one of the all-time great debuts. A young band coming out with this force and fire and just heft to some of these songs. Just absolutely amazing. You know, Keep Yourself Alive, Son and Daughter. Man, Liar. Doing All Right, Great King Rat. Geez, Modern Times, Rock and Roll. Man, Jesus, Seven Seas of Rye. The Night Comes Down. Top to bottom, classic. Classic. A young band just knocking it completely out of the park. Home run over the center field wall. Right? All right. Obviously, you know what's missing here, right? And you know what's coming. So my number 1 Queen album of all time, again, not separated by much. You ask me next week, I might tell you one of these. But I'm going to go with The Night at the Opera. Just a absolute genius of an album. And you know what? Bohemian Rhapsody, great song, absolutely. But, you know, it's one of those songs that I've heard way too much in my life. But the great thing is about this album, and this album is not only about Bohemian Rhapsody, right? You got the heavy, epic, proggy, and metal at times Prophet song. Okay? Just awesome, awesome, awesome. Death on Two Legs. All right? I'm in Love with My Car. 39. Sweet Lady. Jesus. Seaside Rendezvous. All right. Love of My Life. Oh, God. So many great songs. You can't, you know, I can just name them all because they're all it's just such a great, 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 great album. You're My Best Friend. It's got everything on it. It's got everything on it. So, you know, I know there's some like, oh my God, but it's so overplayed, Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah, but the rest of the album is fantastic. But again, you could make a case for any of these. Any of these. So let me kind of recap my list. So coming in at number 1, A Night at the Opera. Coming in at a close number 2, Self-Titled Queen. Coming in at number 3, Sheer Heart Attack. Coming in at number 4, Queen 2. Coming in at number 5, A Day at the Races. Coming in at number 6, Jazz. Number 7, News of the World. Number 8, The Game. Number 9, Innuendo. Number 10, The Works. Number 11, Kinda Magic. Number 12, The Miracle. Number 13, if you choose to include it, The Cosmos Rocks. Number 14, Made in Heaven. And number 15 at the bottom of my list, your mileage may vary, Hot Space. All right, so there you have it. So, of course, remember the whole purpose of this is to start talking about Queen and the albums in particular, which ones we love, which ones we don't love, and why. Right? So let's see some good conversation going below. If you don't like Queen, well, see you on another video, guys. Anyway, this is Pete Pardo. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're on the mighty YouTube all the damn time. Stay tuned. We've got ranking the studio albums of Fate's Warning. You don't want to miss it if you're a metal fan. See you then. Bye-bye.